right, let's take the next step, which is to make these struts. And that reinforcement strip, glue them down and then carve them. I have my back, which I sanded nice and clean last time after putting the stripe down. And all my marks are gone. I don't know where the outside edge is, so I'm gonna put it on here again, and but I want to have about 1/4 of an inch extra when I cut this all the way around. I'm going to remove it from the support board. Pull the tape off. Don't need it. And I'm going to work around it about 1/4 of an inch away, about that much. Safety first. Got my glasses on, and I want to get my sleeves out of the way. Good protocol. I'd put my hair up if I had any. Probably comb it if I had any. At least I got more than ball stick. I like to keep this stuff because sometimes you'll make a mistake and you need to replace something, and this wood is the precise match of this. And your cubby can get littered with all kinds of little scraps over time, but so keep them organized. But I'll usually keep these just until I'm done with this thing, just in case I need it for repairs or inlays or anything like that. Now I'm going to flip this over to the back side, and this back layout template is what's going to guide us to put these struts on. And this is an old template, but it still works. So that's where the reinforcement strip is going to go. And then here's where each strut will be placed. Okay, you can see how this is going to line up. I'm reading directions as I go. You do the same. Okay, now I'm ready to square my pieces. So I'm getting this piece of mahogany. You'll get this from me. And it is long enough to do these longer struts. We are going to cut it into 4 pieces. Then we're going to use these templates to draw it on there and then cut it out. So we have to square these pieces. So first I'm going to go to the planer, plane, joint, table saw, each of them apart. These have to be 3/4 of an inch thick, and note that this is the thickness. We can only remove 1/8 inch at a time, and this is almost 1 1/16 inch. So I'm going to set it to 1 inch, then I'll go to 7/8, then I'll go to 3/4. See, I've narrowed it up quite a bit. Okay, now I'm going to joint one edge, and then I'll go over to the table saw and cut my 4 pieces. Keep this square. Notice this push stick, my hands are up out of there, 5 for 5. That cleaned it up really nice, and it's nice and flat now. The fence has to come into 1/4 of an inch, and it's much too close, so I've got to take that guard off. To do so, I pull it forward and do that slower. Pull it forward, then up and out. Then I take out the throat, reach down, there's a lever that comes up. When the fox comes out, the shark fin goes in. Drop the lever, and there's a door in there. It's just magnetized. And the throat. And the throat, you have to be careful that it doesn't sit high. Right there. See how it sits sitting high? Underneath this guy, there's these 2 buttons. And those 2 buttons slide underneath those buttons. And if you do it properly, then it sits flat. So I'm going to 1/4 of an inch. Okay. Now, the push tick's about 1/4 of an inch, so I'm going to come through like this. And Tanner, come over on this side of me, if you would. Thank you. That'll be about 1/4 inch blade, 1/8 to 1/4 above the wood. Notice I'm standing to the left. My left hand pushes it against the table saw as I cut through. One. Pieces. These templates are found on the tool wall with the other guitar templates. And notice they're numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay, on this side of the template, this side here, right, it's not flat. I'm showing you this, right? There's a gap there and a gap there. It's curved to match the curve that we're going to put into the back. The top of it, of the template, is flat here. I'm putting this on there so you can see the flatness. And then it tapers down to the end. Of these two sides, this one is the important side. That curve is what I want to match. The top here we're going to carve up quite a bit. So if you have to choose what side to favor the lower side. And for me, when I draw this on, I'm leaving this a little bit up so that my pen, when I draw it, it doesn't come off the wood, right? If I go right to it and I draw that line, it stops there and it'll start up again here and it'll give me a flat spot. I don't want any flat spots. I want a nice true curve. So on that curve, bring it up just a little ways so your pencil can handle it. I'm also using a ballpoint pen as opposed to a pencil. That's because the pen does a good job of staying put. It makes a very clear line and it doesn't come off. In a minute we're going to be sanding these, and when you sand it, it gets dust all over. And then you go to wipe it off and it wipes the lead. If you use pencil, it wipes the lead off and you no longer have your line. This pen doesn't do this. Okay, so that's my number one. I'm going to go trim this off on the bandsaw before I sand it. Here's my number two. Leave a space below. At that curve is the important edge. And I want to continue that line underneath. I just drew on the table, silly me. Okay, number two. Now my number three. Now here, the template is a little bit, it's about as wide as is my strut. And so I'm going to hug this up to the top so it's flush on the flat spot here, and so I can get my curve drawn. There's my three. Last. Line up flush the top of this here. That way that bottom curve can get drawn completely in. Okay. So here's my struts. Now it's going to make sense for me to trim off the ends of these. But up in here, I think I am not going to worry about them so much. I'll take care of this with my chisel and sanders above the line. Below the line, let's walk over to the sander and I'll do one for you. Okay, let's sand this off. Know first that make sure you got a clean belt. If there's any kind of tearing on this, let me know so that we can fix it. That's kind of dangerous. And if there's burns on there, you can avoid the burn. You just turn these to the left and notice how this will change wherever we want to. In fact, I think I'm going to bring it up here so that I'm not exposed to all that sanding belt. Now, as I sand, I have a thick amount here, and then it goes thin, and then it goes thick again. Rotate or rock. Rock your strut back and forth like this so as to get a sand that goes all the way along the edge. I want to get this same thickness of space here and there. And then I'll keep rocking it and work it down to the line gently. And I never sand off my line. Leave that line there so you sand right up to it. Now, alternatively, right, you can go in and just take all the material off there, and then another section there, and then to there, and then that doesn't work as well, I find. It works better if you work the whole thing together. Twist the red, press the green. Watch your fingers. And nice and easy. This mahogany sands really easy. So notice how I rock it. Now over to that side, over to that side, over to the next side, to the right, now to the left, to the right. Okay. Now let me point this out and clean off that dust. Notice how I have the same amount of material to be taken off right there, all the way along to there. And now I'm going to rock it some more and bring it right up to the line. Rock it left, taking off just a little amount. Rock it right. Same amount as you go. Nice and easy. I don't want to sand off my line. Leave the line there. So why so important, right? Notice the space under there. This wants to have a nice gentle curve. That is what is going to give shape to the bottom, the back of our guitar in that dish shape. If we have flat spots, it won't glue well or it'll have a flat on it. So this is the easiest way I know how to do it to make it really curved nice.